pumpkin scones with coffee glaze. I'm combining packed brown sugar, very packed, with some all-purpose flour and baking powder, and then a good amount of pumpkin pie spice. I don't think there's a scone on earth that I don't love, but there is something about pumpkin scones that really lights my fire, especially this time of year. Now I'm gonna sprinkle in some cold pieces of butter, and then I wanna cut the butter into the dry ingredients using my trusty rusty pastry cutter. I'm gonna keep going until these resemble coarse crumbs. All right, that looks great. So now I'm gonna make the pumpkin mixture, which is just pumpkin puree and 2 eggs and heavy cream. Ooh, that's a good combination. And then I'll whisk this together. Now, this is not pumpkin pie filling, it's pumpkin puree, and sometimes those things are easily confused. Pumpkin pie filling has spices and everything in it, so this is just the straight up pumpkin, because we already added the spices to the dry ingredients. Whew, that was a long explanation. All right, so you guessed it, this gets mixed in with the dry ingredients, and I just kind of add it slowly while I move it around with the spatula, just to make mixing that much easier. And I don't want to just mix this to smithereens, because I don't want the scones to be tough. So I'm just going to kind of stir it lightly until it all comes together in a magical orange dough. All right, so I'm going to turn this out onto the board, and if some of the dry isn't all totally mixed in, that's normal, because it'll get mixed in when you form it. So basically just turn it over a couple of times just to get everything mixed together. And this dough is so moist because of the pumpkin, so you don't even need a rolling pin. You can just use your fingers to push it into a long rectangle. Okay, so you can see what I did here, Paige. It's just basically a long rectangle. It's about 15 inches by about 2.5, 3 inches. All right, now these go into the oven. We're gonna bake these at 425 degrees for about 20 to 23 minutes until they're perfect. And then we'll let them cool and glaze them. The scones are just about cooled, and look how pretty they look, Paige. Oh man, it's all I can do not to eat one of those right now. Okay, so I'm making a delicious coffee glaze, and I just sifted a bunch of powdered sugar into a bowl. And I'm gonna add a little pinch of salt, because that just always helps things not get too sweet. And then to the powdered sugar, I'm gonna add some very strong coffee and some melted butter. And then I'm gonna get in here with the whisk and turn this into a glaze. All right. You can just keep whisking until you get it to the consistency you want. You can add a little less liquid if you want it to be more of a frosting. You can add a little more liquid if you want the glaze to be thin. So I'll grab a spoon and just spoon it over a scone. Oh man. And I want most of it to stay on top. If a little of it kind of dribbles over the side, that's just fine, because it makes it look just a little more decadent and rich. And then I'll take a little pumpkin pie spice, a little more, and sprinkle it on. How good does that look right there? Woo, wow. All right, I'm gonna do the same thing to the rest of the scones. All right, pumpkin scones with coffee glaze, a little sprinkle of pumpkin pie spice. I've got to let them sit, and then I'm going to fill the basket with them. They're going to be just perfect for Aunt Mabel.